Pete from A Plan for Peace. It's 25th of August and I'm in Ashland in Oregon, and I'm here with Rita Ann Shankara. She's an author. She's currently working on her third book, and I'm about to ask her a few questions about it. So, what is your new book about, Rita?
The new book is a pocketbook of spiritual practices, and it's called Radiance Rising. And the idea is that the more I've continued with my practices, my regular daily spiritual practices, the more I have felt like there's this inner radiance that is rising and starting to shine out from my heart to other beings. And the more I've done these spiritual practices, which come from the yogic tradition in India, the more I've realized that these practices could be adopted by many people from all different religions or even no religions. So a lot of people could benefit from the practices that come from the yogic tradition. So the idea with this little pocketbook is that it's a simple, easy to read, basic instructions for starting a meditation practice and beginning to just watch yourself and go inside, as opposed to being so focused outside of yourself.
So what benefit would a spiritual practice be to someone? Okay, you say you feel this inner radiance, but what practical benefits would following a spiritual practice like this have for them?
Well, when I first started doing these practices, I was pretty tied up in knots, and I had a lot of health issues because of that. So I had a lot of insomnia and depression and headaches. And so on a real practical physical health level, I've been able to relax my system a lot more through these practices so that my health has improved greatly. And I hardly ever get a headache, knock on wood. and I have a lot more health and vitality and happiness and relaxation in my being. And because relaxation is really a skill that we can develop and practice. So the more we do spiritual practices, the calmer we become inside.
Okay. So good health benefits, makes us feel calmer, but we still have all this. We still have jobs to go to. We have to feed our families. We have bills to pay. How can it help with all of that?
The more we go within ourselves, even just a 20-minute sit in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening, it's like we reset our system. So everything that we did during the day, we maybe got off balance or somehow moved off of our center. But when we come back inside and get quiet and come back into our inner being, then it's like resetting ourselves. So then when we go back out into the world, we're calmer for longer. And so the longer you do these practices, they have a cumulative effect. So if you meditate every day, morning and evening, over time, you start to really see it changing the way you think and act in the world. And people who meditate regularly find that their actions at their jobs become much easier and more effective, and their relationships become cleaner and more heartfelt. And so it over time, with sticking with the practice, it starts to have a lot of really positive effects in a person's life.
So what are the steps, the different things you talk about in the book?
Mm-hmm. Well, in the first section, I talk about Raja Yoga, which is the path that I have found is working for me. And Raja Yoga includes several other yoga paths. So Raja Yoga is the yoga of meditation, but it also includes Bhakti Yoga, which is the path of devotion, Karma Yoga, the path of service, Kundalini Yoga, the path of working with the energies and chakras, and Jnana Yoga, which is the path of knowledge. And so I do practices from all of those yoga paths, but the primary practices I do are the sitting meditation practice and the chanting. And the chanting is actually just singing. When I first heard about chanting, I thought it was like some monks in a cave, like shouting out really strange syllables or something. I thought, chanting, that sounds so weird. And so I was really surprised with my teacher Basil. Was the first time I sat in a group that was chanting, and he was just strumming his guitar, and we sang songs from all different traditions, from Christian and Jewish and Hindu, and really just beautiful singing. And so I got hooked on that and started buying lots of chanting CDs, mostly from the Hindu tradition, the Sanskrit mantras. But really just any singing is healing for people. So I talk a lot about the Bhakti Yoga path and the chanting, but then also the meditation. In the meditation section, I go into 3 practices that everyone can do that you can apply to your meditation practice and also to your daily life. And the first of those 3 is cultivating the witness, which is simply witnessing all of yourself. So it's starting to become the observer and witnessing your thoughts, witnessing your emotions, witnessing your bodily sensations, just starting to your actions, witnessing your actions in the world. So it's starting to remove yourself a little bit from your body and your emotions and your thoughts, so that you're not identifying so much with the body mind, and you're the one who's the watcher of the body mind. So I talk a lot about that in the book, that process of cultivating the witness and how beneficial that is. And the second practice is working with our patterns, because we all have so many patterns, behavioral patterns, and patterns that come from our family, and all kinds of patterns that have gotten encoded in our beings and have really wound a lot of us up kind of tightly. And so when we start to look at our patterns and witness them, they start to unwind. Just from witnessing them and naming them, they already start to unwind. And then it's learning the patience and the skills to work with them as they take their time and unwind in their own time. That's the second practice I talk about. And the third is understanding the spiritual process of expanding and contracting. Because I think it's really important for people to know when they start doing meditation practice or chanting practice, mantra practice, all these spiritual practices. In the beginning, sometimes there's this euphoria. You feel really great. And then you get all contracted again in a really bad mood, and you think those practices aren't working, but actually they are. It's the natural sequence is we expand and then we contract, and then we expand and we contract, and it's just a natural part of the process. So once we understand the contractions inevitably follow the expansions, it becomes easier to flow more gracefully with that process. So I talk about that also in the section on Raja Yoga, and then I give a description of how to start a meditation practice.
Okay. So, anything else you want to say about the book? Where can we buy it?
Well, it's coming soon, so it's not available yet, but
Okay.
Maybe we can post another
Okay.
another interview
Okay.
when it's ready. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rita.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay.